We got here, spawning in the top right-hand side, representing Team Liquid. It is Elazer.
And on the bottom left side, he is the #1 seed from Latin America. He used to be the reigning champion for several years, but still our Latin American hope in this tournament. SpeCial.
He sure is.
SciStorm.
From Team SciStorm. He does like to mix it up. SpeCial, not always your conventional turn player. Evidence of that is this wall off at the front already. So what do you make of this? Second barracks looks to be the intent by the rally.
Game paused.
I guess he wants to do a 2-Rax Reaper, but it's an interesting choice on this map considering there's not really that many cliffs for the Reapers to abuse, but maybe he is just going for Elazer's weakness. And competitive, he is kind of notorious for being particularly weak against Reapers, Reaper openers. So maybe he's just recognizing that and going for that.
Yeah, I mean, Elazer is the type of player that, I mean, we were talking about DRG and such and how they kind of actively change their game plan. Elazer is kind of the antithesis of that, like where he will actually just execute his game plan, and when he gets thrown off, I think that's when he shows cracks. If you let him do his thing and he starts flooding you with units after he set up his economy in the early game, come the mid game, Elazer is one of the best players, I think, in the world at just flooding you, right? But if you can disrupt him a little bit, I think that's when he tends to falter a little bit, when his game plan cannot be executed to its fullest potential.
Indeed. And I guess we're going to see how this unfolds. Did you remember to change the scores or the best of 3 thing?
Guiding.
Nice.
I was wondering where that second barracks was going to go as well. It had to be a little bit exposed if you wanted the add-on to happen there. Is that even a full wall-off? I think it is, right?
It is not. He needs to add an extra depot.
Okay. I was thinking the other option would be to put it like 3 hexes back and just wall off with an add-on, but that's also very awkward.
Oh damn, now you have me doubting myself. Is this a full wall-off? It wouldn't make sense for it to be, because you can do this wall-off.
Nah, he's adding that depot. Yeah, I think if everything was 1 hex back, it would be a full wall-off, and you would still be able to do the same exact thing, right?
I think, however, if everything was 1 hex back, he wouldn't be able to make the add-on on the first barracks. So that's probably why he chose.
Really? If the supply depot was also 1 hex back?
Yeah, because it's kind of cramped in there. It kind of sucks, to be honest.
Okay.
But maybe I'll try it. But usually I don't do this build on maps like this, where there's not really... It doesn't feel very abusive. Not that many clips or anything. Yeah, that too as well. And I'm not a big fan of having my add-ons just exposed like that, because if I ever get my Reaper surrounded or I need to back off, they're just vulnerable against Lings or even Banelings.
Or even Roaches and Ravagers.
Yeah, anything really.
Yeah.
But knowing SpeCial, yeah, he's gonna do a quick transition into Factory. I think he does like to follow this up with a Banshee, even gets a drone, so
yeah,
that's good for him.
Yeah, very
2 more?
Wow, big. That's a lot of that energy early on, right? Choosing not to inject in favor of that tumor, and the tumor going down as fast as it did, especially because Elazer recognizes, okay, this is 2 Reapers very quickly. I want the tumor connecting my bases, and he makes that a priority, and it gets denied right away. So SpeCial gonna gain a lot of maneuverability on the back of that. Already sniping extra links, doing a great job of juggling the queen's back as well, as to not take damage and extend his stay there. Nets him a couple of extra units. And things are looking good for the Mexican. And yeah, like you said, Banshees could be an option. BCs is not unheard of when it comes to SpeCial as well.
True. The nice thing about this is that with the faster factory, you can definitely opt for pretty much anything.
He's gonna sacrifice the Reapers, but not before killing 5 workers, Diejo. Pretty worth it, I would say, considering it was only the 3 Reaper commitment.
Definitely worth it, as long as he is not afraid of being all in behind it, which I don't think he is. He's also getting Hellions already, so Lynx will not be able to maintain map control. And yeah, spectacular start. The only thing that could have gone better for him is if he had killed the Overlord above his natural, but Even still, all in all, very good start.
Yeah, he's got to be very happy. Also forcing that creep tumor onto the main again, like very early creep tumor. That means less creep tumors out on the map at this point in time, and the Reapers, they did not get reinforced, right? And that was the potential that that basically SpeCial feigned. He was like, I could go for more Reapers than this, and Elazer over-respecting that possibility ends up losing more than he bargained for. So great start for the Mexican here. DCs will be the
scout
flavor.
is very important actually for Elazer, scouting that there are 8 Marines, because it's important that he makes a few additional links to be able to deal with this medevac that is coming across the map. If you underestimate it, it can do game-ending damage.
There's no armory, is there?
No armory.
Okay, so
He's
no
probably gonna
helmets.
split push this.
Okay, so look for a Rambai onto the natural, though the creep spread and the overlord spread is good enough for Elazer there to have a little bit of a heads up. The Hellions are going to choose to reconvene with the Marines by the looks of it instead. As they poke their nose up this ramp, they'll find 2 Queens posted there. And yeah, I mean, SpeCial not really pushing fast enough for this to be threatening at all. So a little bit of breathing room here for Elazer.
Indeed, good defense so far, and he droned out pretty well, getting up to 50 drones, given the circumstances, was quite nice. And now he just needs to make sure that he has spore crawlers in position to deal with the BCs. Although I don't think he has scouted anything that might indicate it could be BCs just yet.
Yeah, but it is SpeCial, so again, I think this is always a very strong possibility with him. I do like that SpeCial, like, instead of pushing forward, now he is just trying to maintain and keep all of his units together. Next timing will be with the BC, so you want to not lose any units at this point. Getting some pot shots onto those Zerglings, that's pretty important. Not units Elazer would like to remake, as he made 35, anticipating that this push could come considerably earlier.
Indeed. The Hellions still fishing around, looking for openings. Elazer has been pretty good about positioning his queens to deal with this. And even the links in the main are already taking care of this medevac. Question is... Yeah, there it is. BC teleports in the main, still no Spore Crawler. He can definitely kill those 2 queens if they don't run away to the rest of the queens. Actually opts not to chase, which is interesting, but I like this combo right here. This is very smart. Marines plus BC, and then you keep the pressure in the front with Hellions.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't like the Hellions getting bruised a little bit and the Marines kind of not waiting for the BC before, but he does manage to keep most of his units. The Hellions looking for, or the Lynx looking for a surround, and we'll find it onto the Hellions. Good spread from Elazer. That is a lot of units going very quickly, very fast for the Mexican here. That medevac has been taken care of, which means the leash of HP of this Marines is much lower, and with that the Queens are free to go after the BC. The Marines will be dealt with by the Zerglings, and an attack that was looking promising for SpeCial is not so. I feel, Diejo, that SpeCial had enough time there to add an armory at some point and morph all of those boys into Hellions. There wasn't any Banelings, there was no Roaches. I feel like those Hellions into Hellbats would have been insane.
I do think so. However, there are 2 factors that come into play. The first one is that the armory will delay his extra factories, which he absolutely wants for cyclone or tank production.
Okay.
And it's difficult to save from his position. He didn't really have vision.
That's true.
I think another Zerg, like Lambo, definitely would have had at least a few Banelings there just to be safe. So it would be kind of a gamble.
That's very true. Yeah, definitely hindsight 2020 observation there. We know, of course, that there is no Banelings or Roaches, but SpeCial doesn't know that necessarily. And here we go. A little bit of a snipe onto the Overseer here. And now Corruptors being produced on the side of Elazer to try and deal with the BC. Luckily for him, there's another BC on the way. So these Corruptors will actually gain a little bit of value in that regard. These Hellions and the Cyclones are actually poking here very effectively. Elazer trying to set up a little bit of a flank. Beautifully done here. Not jumping the gun from the pole. Needs one more of those Cyclones at least to make it worthwhile. Not gonna find it.
That was actually really impressive micro by SpeCial. Definitely very worthwhile trade for him. Even denying the mining time. The drones are still not back to mining. And there we go. as Special goes into Cyclone Mech. Honestly, kind of a flavor of the patch. I've seen a lot of Terran players focusing more on this style instead of Bio, which is interesting to see. But very powerful, I think.
It is very powerful
for him too.
Yeah, is this enough of an open map though? Like the problem that I have with this composition on maps like this is that to go from base to another base to another place where you actually run by, you have to go through chokes and through so many ramps as well, that it seems there's not a lot of maneuverability between base to base where you snipe a base and you can just move on to the next one easily. You have to poke and prod and find these weaknesses on one side, and if you get deflected, you kind of just have to go all the way around on this particular map. So Special is going to be looking for some additional damage, but yeah, I can't help but to feel that as good as the early game and most of the trades have gone for Special, Elazer stabilizing just fine.
Yeah, I mean, Elazer stabilizes, Special gets 3 Corruptors for free, teleports away to safety. Still not, his 5th base not saturated yet. He will decide to go into Ravager, Ling, Bane probably, maybe even add some Infestors soon. And that's pretty standard comp against this. However, Special already preparing the next step of the mech, which is to just spam tanks. And that will allow him to stay very defensive, very safe against any pushes of Elazer.
Oh, beautiful flank here from Elazer. Not gonna be enough to catch too many units. One more second that Special would have spent on his side of the map might have netted him this entire army, as the Lynx are on hot pursuit of those 2 very weak Cyclones, but Special with beautiful positioning again manages to save at least one of them. Could get repaired, and now the tanks are in position here to where Special is gonna feel he is a little bit more confident pushing out. Gonna clean these roaches up by virtue of just having sheer bigger numbers. The roaches, of course, not nearly as mobile, so the very fragile army of Special in the Cyclone Hellion now being augmented by tanks. And now I expect we have a little bit more of a turtley approach from Special from here on out, right? Like the Cyclone Hellions are still gonna be out on the map, still looking for scans and kind of get units for free, as the roaches and banelings without infestors are never gonna be able to catch them. But yeah, Special will have a stronger backbone moving into the late game now.
Yeah, he definitely will. He can either choose to start transitioning into Ghosts to complement his army, or as he did just now, go for the 8 factories first, get a really sturdy mech production. He's gonna lose 1 BC here, kind of unfortunate. Not really worth the extra Yamato that it did, but still looking quite good for him, I think. I really like that he's adding the Raven, because Burrow Infestors are really scary. It's one of the things that can actually completely obliterate your army, is just have a bunch of Burrow Infestors coming from behind and mirroring all your tanks.
Yeah, the classic. I love to see that. Beautiful move here from Elazer, sending a few links from the back, but the ones in the front don't manage to accomplish anything at all in that process. And I mean, Special has gained a lot of space out on the map here. Has to be careful, Elazer, not to let those tanks encroach for free. Now morphing a few more Ravagers, and that is kind of the tool that he has to tax Special on the approach, right? To make it difficult for him to move, but he needs vision. He needs to be out there, maybe some changelings or something to identify when the tanks are moving. Good biles there onto the 2 tanks at the front, but this base will have to be forfeit.
Indeed it will. BCs continue to be annoying on the other side, forcing Corruptors to split away from the main army and just taxing Elazer's APM quite a bit. Special does feel kind of... It looks like he's kind of overextending a little bit with his main army. I'm not sure about coming forward with these tanks. There's no Hellions anymore to provide support against the Lings.
Yeah, and that's why Elazer is making 64 of them. So if he can get a good surround here, he'll get a good cleanup. The Ravagers from downtown are going to actually bile onto those tanks, and completely agreed, a little bit of an overextension, especially because Special chose to fight with just the Cyclone Hellion at the front while the tanks were getting situated, while the tanks were moving. So loses a little bit of the buffer in that process, and by the end of it, no more Hellions remaining, like you said, which makes very easy cleanups with circling reinforcements. And with that, Elazer is free and out onto the map, where he's going to deny 2 CCs from Special, as well as one of those very important locations, and manages to retake his own base and spread more creep in the meanwhile. So a beautiful minute or two here for Elazer.
Yeah, he really was everywhere there for a moment. Lings in the third, killing 2 factories, canceled 2 CCs. Imagine if he had found this planetary fortress. He is aware of it, so I guess he's not really in a rush to deal with it right now. But look, Corruptor's coming back to be even more annoying, as he at the same time decides to roll invadings at this planetary fortress, and pop goes the Weasel.
Yeah, very important. I mean, this looks really good for Elazer on the screen, and maybe everything that we've been saying over the last few minutes, but Elazer absolutely needs this just to stay in the game, because his economy is actually not nearly as good as SpeCial's. SpeCial has mules to work with, and on top of that, he has an extra 11 workers, right? So it's a very good economic position for SpeCial, and that's why it's so important for Elazer to reset those PFs, to kill some SCVs, to be on the other side of the map. And quite honestly, Daejo, I'm a little bit surprised that he didn't drone up behind us, and as now he fires up 7 drones, but it feels a little bit late. It feels like when you break out into the map, you shouldn't anticipate that the next set of reinforcements is going to do much. Do with what you got and start droning behind it. But instead, he starts droning a little bit late, so I feel like this game is once again kind of just reset.
You're absolutely right. He did drop the ball a little bit there on the drone count. It should have been higher a bit sooner. He even made the static defense to protect the base, but he never really saturated it until now. So kind of a missed opportunity to build up his bank. But like you said, kind of a reset game, except SpeCial is sitting comfortably on 5 bases, which is the optimal amount of bases as spec.
Oh man. The Corruptors are also kind of just in a gaggle that's not clumped up enough. So the BCs, I mean, they want to stay as long as possible. They want to see the Corruptors and evacuate. But when you show the head of the spear in just 1 or 2 Corruptors at the front, you're missing a lot of DPS of that first volley. And this is the second time as a result that SpeCial gets a heads up enough to evacuate the BCs and barely doesn't lose any of them.
Yeah, it is interesting that he's opting to add Ravens into the army. When I meant Ravens as a protection against infestors, I didn't mean 5 or 6 of them. Right. Because really these spells, they don't really benefit his army in any way. Like turrets, they're pretty useless against this kind of army. Maybe he could Matrix the infestors, but they're not even getting Neurals off. I don't think Neural was even researched up until now, so they were completely useless, and it just cost him a lot of gas that I bet he wish he had now.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the purpose was, right? Because the turrets are not as good as they used to be even. And yeah, I mean, I guess the anti-armor missile could come in handy against big clumps of roaches if you're looking for a disengage. But even then, it feels like maybe you could have 2 or 3 at the most.
Indeed. Well, at least he'll have 1 more for detection, I think. I do think at least 1 is important, or 2 or 3, like you said. But still, I think, despite all, it's still okay for him. A bit unfortunate here with the factories.
Yeah, 2 tanks are going to be trapped there. We'll see if he ever notices. As the BCs, I mean, yeah, it's not enough Corruptors, because Elazer hasn't remade enough Corruptor numbers to where he can actually kill the BCs before they get both Yamato and the teleport off. So Elazer might want to add a few more Corruptors, or just have lingering infestors that are ready to fungal or to even Neuroparasite. I do love when you have Neuroparasite and infestors and you're going up against BCs. I do love sending infestors burrowed to like just one of the flanks, right? Like maybe just 2 or 3. Because if you catch those BCs, which are never going to be really scanning for the infestors, you always kill them, because you can teleport them to whatever kills them basically, and they can't escape.
Indeed. I mean, Elazer has been doing a really great job just by keeping these cyclone numbers low, catching them with fungals and just peeling them off without actually suiciding his units into tanks. I guess it's kind of a blunder by SpeCial, but more of a kudos to Elazer for doing such a good job with those.
Yeah.
I do miss some Vipers here, but doesn't matter. He's just gonna flank it anyway.
Yeah, that's a big flank. I mean, it is going onto a PF from the side, but it's not gonna matter. And yeah, Gutsy Elazer here. I mean, I would have never gone onto that many tanks confidently, but he does. He identifies that there's no buffer, and now going after the PF. Actually, the Biles are gonna whiff for the most part by the looks of it, and not really spreading them open to where they can hit multiple SCVs. Now he is, and that should be enough to take this planetary fortress ever so barely. Still a lot of losses on the side of Elazer here in this process. So SpeCial could still stabilize, I think. Not like this. I mean, that's going to be more and more units that SpeCial is going to be bleeding. He has to just regroup and be careful here.
Yeah, those were really cute plays with the Infestor there, keeping the refreshing the neural on the tank and just dishing a lot of firepower there. But yeah, BCs have kind of been saving SpeCial the game here. Look at the kills on them, 21, 21, and 36.
Yeah,
and now look,
insane.
Yamato 3 more Corruptors, and now what? Just TP back. Insane value.
Really need 1 or 2 Infestors kind of just astray there for the Fungal or the Neural Parasite onto those PCs. I think that's the best way that you can possibly deal with those. Lucky got a Elazer as well. That SpeCial didn't notice all the drones burrowed in the base that was taken down. Otherwise, he would have been a reset in terms of economy down to the 50s or so. But still, I mean, a pretty even low eco game for the stage at which we are at 20 minutes in.
Yeah, this is extremely scary to have a naked base like that in the corner of the map. The drones can't even run away if Hellions come around, and he's just kind of hoping that SpeCial won't send anything there, but for the near future at least it's gonna pay off.
Yeah. A little bit oversaturated there. Would probably want to take the gases. Maybe. I mean, it is an isolated base, so a couple of spines at the front would do wonders for him. But the advantage of it is it's very inconspicuous, right? Very difficult for SpeCial to actually think that there might be a base there, because it doesn't follow the natural progression. There's no creep connecting it. It just doesn't make much sense. So in that way, he's protected.
But that's why Elazer is so unpredictable, because he does what doesn't make sense. People just keep not expecting it.
Yeah.
And honestly, I would too if I was him.
No spores here.
Be able to
Fungal though.
Here.
Oh, 1 second too late.
I was worried that SpeCial was gonna keep hitting that hatchery and like going for the greed, but
no, he saw the Infestor since that TP. Beautiful moves by him. Because those BCs are not worth. I mean, the hatchery is not worth 3 BCs, right? So good moves, good moves. Still, SpeCial with a good forward position here. Lots of tanks. Now a little bit better spread than they were before. Gonna be difficult for Elazer to go down any of these ramps, especially without the likes of Vipers that you were mentioning earlier, for example. This is an expensive maneuver, as Elazer does manage the Neural Parasite, but the control after is a little bit sloppy. Loses a few Ravagers in the process. The Link counter attack is beautiful to take down some of these gas units for just gasless units, basically. And the SpeCial is going to try to reposition that tank unsuccessfully, I believe. As on the other side, the more important push is happening. Those 4 tanks in an extremely annoying position. I would kill for a Viper here if I'm a Elazer.
Yeah, I really would. Honestly, I feel like Vipers would be such a good addition to this army. He is kind of low on gas. Maybe he should take at least a couple extra simulators at the top base or something. But still, I think it's starting to look better and better for Elazer.
For sure.
But he needs to complement this army a little bit. It's not going to pay off in the long run, especially as this many tanks are starting to stack on the field. There's only so much you can do with run-bys and catching cyclones with fungals, you know.
Yeah, if this army gets big enough, right, it just becomes impossible for a Roach army to engage without the help of Vipers or Broodlords. Now, you're talking about the gas. Broodlord's kind of an impossibility at this point. It has been a low eco game. Elazer at barely 64 workers. But Vipers, man, like I mean, $200 will kill 2 tanks for free and pay for itself instantly, basically. And from then on, you know, like any other value you get is good. The Ninja base does get found by the BCs. Elazer with Infestors here. Potential Neural Parasite will go down. Instead, it's the Fungal. Needs another one to hold them in place, but it's not going to be for long enough.
Oh,
Lag. No. PL Ops.
Emil.
Is Emil even still around? I guess this answers my question.
He'll always be around.
What a game we have here. Advantages goes to SpeCial right now, right? Like surely with the worker counts.
Yeah, I think so too, and with the compositions as well. I mean, he has a bunch of tanks against a guy with no Vipers and not even a Greater Spire.
Yeah.
You're just happy as a mech player right now.
I mean, even if you lose the BCs, Elazer's gonna be stuck with all of these Corruptors, basically, so... Yeah, you're happy either way. Add a few Thors in case they morph into Broodlords, which they won't, but the Thors will still gain value elsewhere. So, Looking pretty good for SpeCial here in this game 1. What does Elazer have to do to come back here, Diejo?
I think he definitely needs to make Vipers.
I agree. He needs to make Vipers. One BC will finally fall. The base will be remade, and the other BC actually not be intended to. The pause messing SpeCial up a little bit, perhaps.
Yeah, I think it did. That's actually a bit scary, because if there ever is a possibility for Broodlord switch this game, it's gonna make a SpeCial. It's gonna make it a lot more difficult for SpeCial to deal with it.
Yeah, Elazer once again finding good trades with little pockets of units, finding those exposed units without the tanks. He has been doing a great job of this, partly thanks to due to his good scouting with this sort of changeling type maneuver, right? But again, like, those changelings would be such great spotters for a Viper.
Yeah, and I think he did commence gas mining from this base. Maybe he could also benefit from taking gas from this base, although it might be a bit too little too late.
Yeah, this hatchery incredibly low, but actually SpeCial is not gonna go after it, and Elazer is gonna manage to collapse onto this. Not enough to stave off the full strength of this aggression, however, as there is a very deep line of tanks on the side of SpeCial, and now Elazer is gonna have to play north instead, just forfeit this area completely. He just doesn't have the means to defend it. And with only 7 Ravagers out, it's going to be difficult for him to slow the advances of SpeCial, who continues to kill workers. 16 extra have gone down, putting Elazer under 50 now.
That is a brutal catch of those of that drone train, I guess.
Still making units. Yeah, I mean, he's not remaking workers. Last legs for Elazer here.
2 Broodlords. That's not gonna save him at all. Only, like, I mean, the Cyclones are enough to deal with 2 Broodlords.
Yeah.
I would really much prefer to see 2 Vipers or even 3 Vipers here instead.
Yeah, in small numbers, right? Like, that's gotta be the answer. Does get good neuroparasites onto these Ravens. Tries to get the leash to work in his favor, but it's a little bit too far to drop those turrets right next to the tanks. Instead, he'll just neuroparasite back to where they can get sniped by corrosive biles. SpeCial, in an attempt to save his Ravens, is going to lose a few more units. But the army of Elazer here a little bit exposed. Good fungal there onto those units before they retreat to tank fire. And a beautiful move here from Elazer, just making magic happen with small pockets of units time and time again. At the same time, he isn't able to take care of his main army. These neuroparasites have been doing pretty good. Where are the Broodlords? They are much needed here. There is one single battle cruiser here at the front. The Cyclone numbers have dwindled to where there's only 2 healthy ones, as 2 more join the fray actually to make it 4. 1 about to die to a single fungal. And the 2 Broodlord March is all that Elazer can put any chips on.
Yeah, that's really quite comical. I mean, they actually are going to help in this case, taking out 1 tank, maybe even 2 with the friendly fire, which does allow Elazer to push down the ramp once again. I can't believe that actually worked. The 2 Broodlords.
I mean, it's just such a small army that SpeCial is trying to push with. I think if you're SpeCial, if you have God vision and you know your opponent's on 46 workers, you just sit back, right? Like, he has no reason to be out on the map right now.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. And honestly, this actually might end up working out as Elazer's comeback mechanic, because he is forcing SpeCial to make Thors, which is not the unit you want against this composition. Really, against 2 Broodlords, all you need is a couple of Vikings, or maybe you could even lock onto them, maybe a couple of Ghosts if you have the barracks still. But yeah, I can't believe it worked. The Broodlords actually somehow being his saving grace in this game, like kind of swinging the momentum a little bit in his favor.
Yeah, for sure. And there are no Ghosts out either, so there is a huge liability in making those Thors, right? They are units that have low range and are extremely expensive, very tanky, very powerful units. And that means it's the biggest possible swing in momentum in an army from neural parasites, and the easiest target as well, given that they sit at the front. So, I mean, if Elazer can maintain some energy onto these infestors, he identifies now that there are Thors, he could make that his win condition.
Indeed. But despite everything, I still think he needs Vipers. But not going to be...
SpeCial is now down to 37, so it's a comically low economy game.
Indeed. It feels like Elazer kind of forgot about this base, not even trying to take it. So maybe it's something he might want to consider in the near future. Because
Yeah,
these are running kind of low.
kind of.
He's
I mean,
gonna put 6 more drones there, but
he's so low on economy, however, that I'm not sure if it matters too much. He should just forfeit this area completely. Try to slow down things down with Fungal, but there's only one remaining. He's going to throw it onto the army now, and let's see. Elazer looking pretty strong on the hold here. He needs a few more corrosive bile spread along. The Thors are going to fall. 1 BC will reign supreme towards the end of this engagement, but both players kind of reset, and both players broke as hell. Now here come the Corruptors. That should be an easy cleanup for anything that remains in the air, and that's going to be out of nowhere. GG. SpeCial overextends, overplays his hand, and an overly aggressive Elazer never let his foot off the pedal, even down at 44 workers for like half of that game, will end up taking it. Brutal loss for SpeCial. If you watch that replay, feels bad, right?
feels extremely bad, especially if I'm SpeCial in this case. I know I should never have lost this game, especially to a 2 Broodlord switch. Never before seen a 2 single Broodlord switch that came from behind, killed 3 tanks, and made SpeCial so scared that he forfeited his top left base and let Elazer keep his. So yeah, truly a sad moment for him.
Very sad. I feel like SpeCial felt like he was under so much more pressure than he was. And let's not forget those 2 BCs that don't get recalled right after the pause. I mean, with how close that last engagement was, or any of those engagements for that matter, difference maker as well, right? Feels extra bad. And we know SpeCial is not the strongest in terms of like mental fortitude to be like, yeah, that's whatever. Like, he's gonna be pretty pissed off that happened, right? Like, he's gonna find someone to blame at the tournament for that pause.
Yeah, that was a bit frustrating.
Yeah, it was frustrating to watch. So yeah, yeah. I mean, for SpeCial, it has to be brutal.
That was exactly the amount of BCs that he'd lost, or the amount of BCs that he would have had to, or sorry, the amount of Broodlords there were, could have been dealt with the amount of BCs that he lost. So just really unfortunate there with the pause for sure. So Zerg Cabal once more.
Zerg Cabal once more, coming in clutch for the boys. Yeah, I mean,
Elazer is Polish. Polish observer lagged out.
Polish observer lagged out. Like, Polish unidentified as far as like the race is concerned, right? Like, we don't know that he's a Terran or a Protoss, but I think most likely,
kind of
most
sus.
Likely gonna be a Zerg. So the Cabal strikes back in favor of the boys, and now we are loading into the second map. It's gonna be Royal Blood. Very short rush distance map. And do you think we're gonna open the Reapers again? I forgot about that. I mean, it was such a great opening for SpeCial as well.
Indeed, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw it again, especially on a map like this. So I guess we'll find out as we load up into Royal Blood Game 2.
Got all these scores. Got him. And spawning in the top right-hand side of the map, it is Juanito. SpeCial.
Juanito Dorito.
Juanito Dorito.
And on the bottom left, it is one of the newer acquisitions for Team Liquid, Mikołaj Elazer Ogodowski.
Nikolaya.
The local hero.
The local hero indeed. So for those of you in Poland, I guess you're probably not listening to this stream. But I'm sure you're cheering hard for Elazer regardless. For those of us in Latin America, perhaps a slight bias towards Juanito. We want to see the region perform here, and it hasn't been the case, as Chamaco didn't manage to do it. Had some good showings yesterday. And SpeCial so far, not the greatest luck, and coming into these groups as a heavy underdog for the most part.
Indeed. But still, hard not to be proud of the boys. I mean, Cham came so far from Mexico and still managed to knock out both Scarlet and Harstem from the tournament, which is really more than anyone was expecting. So
absolutely,
props to him. And one, I think, well, just being seeded into the group stage, of course, is already an accomplishment in itself. It means he had to be the rank 1 in Latin America. But yeah, still hoping for a series win or two here in the group stage. But so far, gotta make something happen against Elazer.
Yeah,
I
let's see
think
if
he
he's
had
able
the
to.
last game.
He definitely had it at multiple points. I mean, it was looking beautiful at the start, the mid game, and even the late game. I think even after losing those BCs, if you give him the state of the game, right? If he knows the state of the game, there's no chance he loses, I think. It's just him not identifying, I think, how ahead economically he was, and overextending and creating openings for Elazer to capitalize on, which Elazer was great at. It's so rare to see a squad of like 2 Ravagers and 5 Links do as much damage as they consistently found over and over. It was like SpeCial run-bys that he was doing.
Yeah. So just unfortunate, Shell, but maybe it's something he can learn from and apply in the next couple of games. The thing is, though, this is a pretty short map, and in general, I'd say it's quite good for Terran and Bio. But I don't think SpeCial is gonna play Bio here against Elazer. Bio is something that Elazer is very used to playing against. He's very good against. He just kind of rolled over Ryung against his Bio. So I wouldn't blame if SpeCial decided to play mech here instead, which unfortunately would kind of defeat the purpose of playing on this map, but I think it's not that big of a deal either.
Yeah, I mean, SpeCial is definitely one of the most proficient players on the planet when it comes to mech. He is one of those players that has always had it in his arsenal. And Elazer, by contrast, one of those players that doesn't look that great against styles that he's not used to, right? Like, he is the type of person that if he grinds his playstyle to perfection, he is so freaking good at all the small details and all the optimizations possible. But again, if you throw him off, if you give him something to chew that he hasn't before, that's when he falls, and that is where mech being rare is a strong suit for a SpeCial that looked dominant for most of the last game, and I'm sure if he can get in that position again, he'll close it out.
Indeed. Let's see what is he gonna do with this build, because he already made 1 Raven. He's making a second one. But his third base isn't even late too, so really quite interesting so far as this Link Brumby comes in, but I don't think it'll be very successful. Hellion into Marine should be able to deal with it. Gets a Hellion.
Hellion, yeah. Not too bad. We'll spot that Juanito has been pretty greedy here.
Indeed.
But it's too late to do anything about that. So just gotta chill if you're a Elazer now, making spores, maybe anticipating potential for BCs again. I am, like you, curious about this Ravens. This auto turret got nerfed, so let's see how long it lasts. It's just gonna kill 1 worker before it falls.
Yeah, you can definitely feel the armor nerf there and the HP nerf, so not as strong as it was before.
Yeah, I might have killed 3 drones in the previous patch. Gets 1 here instead. And the second Raven also looking for damage. Gonna take a lot of damage from the Queens. And even the 3 Queens? What? I mean, that thing melted.
Yeah.
3
the
Queens
Hellions,
killing
however,
huge.
this is what deals damage here in TVZ, as he does get a successful run-by into the natural. Cleans up all the links. Raven did come back for another turret, but I think it ended up dying.
Yeah.
Not sure if he got a turret off.
A little bit remaining here on the side of Elazer. He's not moving his drones because he doesn't have enough that they're scattered by default. There still loses 14 of them total, but it will be all of the Hellions of Juan. Elazer does have a lot of room to make up for in terms of workers, as he is down to 39 with 8 more in production. So yeah, I mean, Elazer in an uncomfortable position, I would say. If Juanito can do what Hero was doing to DRG and keep up the pressure, now is a really good time, right? Like, when you deal damage to a Zerg, it might seem counterintuitive with this sort of run-by, but if you can keep up the pressure, it's very likely you'll catch him droning, because they have to find the time to drone, and the earlier the better, right? So it's kind of like, if you're gonna take a risk, you want to take it as soon as possible. That is when you're kind of most open as a Zerg. And Juanito, looking to capitalize, perhaps a little bit late, waiting for those Cyclones, will at least clear some creep here.
Yeah, and just like you said, putting on pressure after you kill this many drones, you know the guy is gonna be wanting to remake those drones. You're not gonna have that many units behind it. So I feel like in Juanito's shoes, if it were me, it might not be a good idea to just completely skip the Cyclones. Use the gas instead to get, like, for example, mag fueled blue flame and 1/1 upgrades. and you just make Hellions. Use those Hellions to keep under pressure, dive on creep, make another run by, because as you can see, there's only 20 lings in the field. If he dove into the third base where it's completely naked, or maybe even swung around at the fourth base, there will be a lot of potential for damage. But as it stands right now, kind of feels like Elazer got the freedom he needed to drone back into stability.
Yeah, he's back at 70 workers now, and you know, like the queens are enough. It's only a couple of cyclones now, 3 or 4. So it gets a little bit more dangerous for the queens now. Hydra's in production for Elazer, but they're not yet out. So this might still be a strong timing for Juanito. If he can dwindle those queen numbers, then the Zerglings are not going to have much of a say against the Hellion. So that's the strength of his army right now. And let's see what he can do. Gonna move on forward with those cyclones. Locks onto a couple of queens. One of them will fall. That second one will also end up falling, actually. And now with Hellbats, it's looking pretty good. But finally, the Hydras are here, a little bit exposed. As Elazer does get the wraparound beautifully with his Zerglings, which he was waiting for. Do not want to chase those cyclones. I think don't want to chase, yeah, any further here, as the Raven is going into the main base, trying to apply some more pressure. Oh, 12 workers go down, and Elazer, I mean, he just doesn't take a punch to the face without returning it.
That is brutal, and just like that, the momentum is completely swung in favor of Elazer. Ouch.
Ouch. Yeah, this is going to give Elazer a little bit more freedom to spread his creep, looking for a little bit of a flank with the links. Very annoying terrain here. I actually kind of hate this. It's the kind of terrain that can be more easily abused, I feel like, by bio, though, and drops. Right, where you can reposition your bio from one side to the other, and the Zerg army in this case has to run all the way around. So yeah, not as ideal with mech, but it is like you predicted, Diejo, we are going into the mechs.
Yeah, that is brutal for sure. But yeah, it's kind of a missed opportunity with bio, but like I said, I think SpeCial is really kind of a mech Terran, and I'm not sure how confident I would be in SpeCial's bio against someone like Elazer, even on a map that is kind of favored towards bio.
For sure. No, I agree, yeah.
But it's not to say it's over by any means. I mean, SpeCial still has a 4-base economy. He has his full mech production, 1-1 finishing. He can start 2-2. Elazer's upgrades are not even that amazing behind all of this, so it's really not that bad of a spot for SpeCial just yet, not by any means.
Not at all. A much quicker lair, or hive rather, from Elazer this time around, so expecting Vipers. And I almost feel like from watching these games and just Elazer overall, he never techs too heavily into like Viper Infestor. I wonder if he only has one control group for spellcasters or something of the sorts. Because I feel like we're gonna see Vipers, and if we see Vipers, I feel like we're not gonna see Infestors.
Yeah, I think that's one of the main reasons he's opting for Hydras over here, because they are his choice of unit to combo up with Vipers. They do pair up very well as well to abduct things like Liberators, for example, that Ravagers normally cannot deal with after they abduct it. So yeah, it's definitely a reasonable theory, and I think I remember him mentioning something like that control group limit.
Yeah, that might very well be the case. And he is so proactive with other control groups, right, that other players just don't have. Like this Pocket of Links, for example, is kind of running around doing its own thing, and that is the kind of thing that you can expect from Elazer. So it's not inherently like a weakness of his, but stylistic choice, and it does limit the potential. Oh my god, going all into all of the tanks with the Hydras before the Viper spawn. I'm not sure that was the move. And now SpeCial with a very commanding position here. I want him to reset. I want for either the reinforcements to arrive or him to start pulling back right now. Will and Siege, and I want to see a pullback rather than move forward. But now the reinforcements are arriving, so maybe this is the right call. And yeah, I mean, Elazer probably has to give up this base while he waits for the Viper energy, unless it's already ready. They do have full energy.
Yeah,
let's see if that's enough.
And they're so clumped up. This is so scary. I don't think SpeCial was expecting Vipers to be out just yet. Otherwise, he would not have clumped in like this.
Yeah.
This is completely brutal, and it might end up costing SpeCial the advantage that he just got. He's gonna siege the tanks. I don't think they'll be able to get away. There's even abducts left on the Vipers. Oh no, I think he just completely threw his advantage. He really didn't think there would be Vipers.
Yeah, and can't blame him either, because Elazer just took the craziest engagement right before the Vipers, right? So why would you think that there's Vipers behind it? It just didn't make any sense for Elazer to take that engagement. Outside of maybe seeing the opportunity, maybe the tanks were ensieged or something at the start of it. Maybe he just had set up his flank and decided it's go time with a creep launch pad. Something told Elazer it's go time before the Vipers. But if I'm in special shoes, I see no Vipers there, I have no reason to believe that if I push on further, there's going to be four Vipers with full energy waiting.
And once more, Elazer does the unexpected. First, in the first game, he does a 2 Broodlord switch, making SpeCial think there will be more soon. And now he pulls off these shenanigans. Yeah. He really is the most unpredictable Zerg of all.
Absolutely crazy. Like, what's crazy is it actually kind of works, right? Because the engagement wasn't even as bad as I was expecting it to be. It was just weird that he was taking that engagement without Vipers. But it works out because SpeCial doubles down on the attack, right? Like, he brings forward his reinforcements. And then the Vipers are ready. And the Elazer still had enough of a bank to remax and make a sturdy enough army composition to clear those under the cover of the blinding cloud.
Banelings popping into the Cyclones, not exactly the trades that you want. You do need to make sure that these Banelings are on move command when you're abducting the Cyclones.
It is so difficult. Like, I just hate having Banelings if I'm abducting units. But Elazer is going to shove them to the side now. That is a good solution. Maybe use him just to break the supply depots if he wants to move on forward. Yeah, good abducts here. I don't know if he needs to overextend. I think if you're a Elazer, you got to start thinking about the back. Breaks through all the supply depots. A little bit enthusiastic and over-optimistic. Those last 4 Banelings going into the tank fire to try to get to the mineral line. And these links also got to be really careful. Too many Hellions there, as SpeCial is going to siege at that high ground, trying to bait Elazer into a bad engage. Luckily for Elazer, he doesn't have the army composition to beat Hellions, so he's not going to even chase.
That is something that you have to be really careful about playing Hydra Bane, is to undermake Banelings, because then Hellions actually just kill your entire army.
Yeah, that's why I prefer like some mix of Hydra Roach. Hydra Bane against mech just feels so difficult to me. I understand the concept to try to deal with the Hellbat frontline, but once you involve the Vipers, it's just awkward to not detonate the Banelings. Now, you kind of have to choose, like you're seeing here, right? Like, do I abduct, or do I Baneling, or you layer the approach, in which case you're not kind of like consolidating with the full strength of your army. Elazer with a supply advantage, but on screen, I mean, SpeCial looks still pretty powerful.
Yeah, I mean, his supply looks kind of low, and his SCV count is actually off the roof, but look how many tanks he actually has. It feels very difficult for Elazer to push into those tanks, but instead he is going to go into the fringe bases. So it's going to work out pretty good for him.
Yeah, he always manages to find space anywhere, Elazer, but a transition is what I'm looking at right now. I mean, you gotta start thinking about Broodlords at this point. That is a lot of tanks. You have the backbone of the Hydras, and instead he's gonna go into Lurkers. This is crazy.
That is maybe a bit too crazy for my taste.
Yeah, a little bit too crazy. I mean, the Vipers still have potential with the Lurkers, right? You abduct anything on the ground into those Lurkers, it's gonna die very fast, but there's a lot to abduct is the problem, and tanks are usually the natural counter of Lurkers before the Vipers are out. Let's see what Elazer can do here. He's gonna start abducting a few of those tanks, but not before taking some heavy tank fire. The backline of tanks is very big, but actually Elazer gaining some positional advantage here onto the planetary fortress. The Hellions want nothing to do with this, nor do the Cyclones. So Elazer will actually gain the position through surprise, and the unexpected once again strikes to kill one of SpeCial's planetary fortresses. Out of energy now.
Completely unexpected.
Vipers are out of energy, Diejo. How many tanks do we have on the field? I feel like this is SpeCial's opportunity to encroach on forward, but it's a very narrow sliver of time.
We have 7 tanks, but 5 more are popping out. And SpeCial is doing exactly what Cyclone Hellion is made to do, you know? You can just push on the sides when the Zerg is just out of position, and it makes it very difficult for them to engage with just Lings and Hydras.
Yeah, beautiful lurker there in the back. Elazer anticipating the retreat from SpeCial will at least tax a couple of those units. The problem for Elazer once again is a real estate and economy, right? Like, he is not where he wants to be, but he's also not taking punches without dishing them back, and that is very important. It's what kept him in game 1. Just over aggression, just always believing that he has the army to take down SpeCial and leaning heavily on those advantages. Now finally Elazer is going to start adding a few extra drones and trying to stabilize on that front. As one single lurker, I don't know how this man does it, has managed to sneak behind a planetary fortress and a tank. Another one.
Another one. But yeah, I mean, lurkers are just not the right unit for this. This
Not
is
without
usually
Vipers.
how Lambo tries to throw games that are won against me. Is he just makes lurkers and then asks me why I didn't leave the game.
Yeah.
But definitely, it's an anti-comeback mechanic unit against mech. It's just a really questionable decision in my professional opinion.
I completely agree, because like if you're playing Terra and you see lurkers, you want to make tanks. So it's just weird to make lurkers into tanks already, right? And I guess if you already have the Vipers, there is the partial answer. Very nice run bys on both ends. But yeah, I mean, as soon as those Vipers ran out of energy, you're kind of in a little bit of trouble. I would love to see SpeCial adding some ghosts to account for the Vipers, and then I don't really know. Like, if you're paying attention to those ghosts, you leave it up to your own attention to detail, to your own ability to kind of react in time. And then I feel like it's SpeCial's game to lose, right? Missing those EMPs or taxing the Vipers at least with the snipes on retreat.
And you know things are not looking good for the Zerg when he's almost losing lurkers to Hellbats. And honestly, it feels like SpeCial has just the freedom to take any base on the map he wants right now.
Yeah.
Of course, he's not rich by any means. He doesn't have that many orbitals even to drop a lot of mules, but...
Oh, Vipers!
Cyclone Hellion? Oh, no.
Oh, very painful. I mean, the gas bank for Elazer is there. He can possibly remake those, but there's only so many out on the map and so with energy already, and that is kind of his lifeline right now. If he's to make something happen, it has to be the combo with his Vipers. Trying to find this base on the side here, and SpeCial actually running into a few lurkers. A very odd blinding cloud there onto Cyclones, not something that you see every day. Not gonna work out too well, as not enough of the army was left behind in an effort to push forward to kill some SCVs. That means these two lurkers will be easy pickings for SpeCial to clean up. And then, I mean, huge advantage for him. That was the last bit of army that Elazer had on the map. So what do you do now?
I don't know. Is it possible that SpeCial somehow throws this? I don't think so, because Elazer is not mining much of anything at all. He is going to start transferring drones to this base. That is going to be his sole mining base. But as soon as SpeCial decides to take the top left base, I think it will be very difficult for Elazer to do anything about it. He's actually pulling moves with these lurkers. Like, these lurkers are pulling moves, killing SCVs here and there, forcing, taxing a lot of APM. But yeah, just too much eco for SpeCial.
Just a little bit too much eco. So Elazer is gonna run out of gas, and with that, we are headed towards a game 3. Very exciting series so far. I mean, I think we're gonna see mech again, Daiejo. I don't want to see lurkers again personally. But I agree with you. I mean, as far as the lurkers are concerned, I think that Elazer did a wonderful job with them, right? Like, being really sneaky and hitting at multiple places at once. That's what lurkers are also good at, right? Because they ping you everywhere that they are. So if you can create enough chaos, they can be pretty good. But in the heads-up engagements, I mean, it just doesn't make sense to make lurkers into that many tanks. And again, SpeCial could have had or added ghosts at any point, and I think things would have only gotten worse for Elazer.
Yeah, like that. There really was no best case scenario for the lurkers, I think, unless maybe if he somehow got them in SpeCial's main, kind of in the same way you do it against Bio. Especially since mech units are so clunky, it might be difficult for him to retake it. But yeah, I think there were just better options, or maybe just stick on Hydra for a bit longer, because it felt like he could still regain the momentum of that game.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, another composition that I'm not a huge fan of is just straight up Hydra Bane against the mech armies. I think that the previous game, you know, like Ravager, Roach, some Circling sprinkled in can be pretty good. Link Hydra is just such a fragile unit composition. It's like you see a bunch of Hellions and you have to be scared. The Banelings just have anti-synergies with the Vipers. I understand that they're there to kill the Hellbats, and in that sense they're necessary, right, as a punch through for the Glass Cannon army to do something, but it's such a fragile unit composition that dislodging large number of tanks and stuff like that, like position, is just so difficult to play into.
Indeed. But we'll see how it goes, what it comes down to here in the ace match of this best of 3 between SpeCial and Elazer on Graysvan.
Gravon.
Grayvan.
Gravon. In the bottom right hand side of Gravon, it is the Polish Hope. Team Liquid's Elazer.
But on the other hand, on the top left corner of the map, it is the Latin American Hope, Storm Gaming SpeCial.
SpeCial. Playing a wonderful brand of mech, finding advantages for himself in both games, in the early and mid game. Capitalizing in the previous game. A little bit of a throw in the first one, however. Will he be able to close this one out? Elazer does look uncomfortable against mech, has to be said.
He does look uncomfortable against mech, and I can attest to that. It is definitely one of his weaknesses. But whoa, 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 whoa. This is weird. This is extremely weird.
Need an extra supply depot in the middle.
Oh yeah, but that's fine. What I'm really confused is he's playing 2 gas on 1 base.
Ooh.
No second barracks, just 2 gas.
So this is going to be a factory?
Yeah, he's going to go for an extremely fast factory, and I'm guessing he wants to get fastest possible Hellions.
And they're pretty fast already, but I guess so.
This is an extremely weird build. Let's watch. Okay, so he does remove 2 SCVs from each gas, kind of like a TVT opener, but walling off in a natural. Elazer will spot this fastest possible factory, so I think he's gonna be going a little bit. I'm not sure what his reaction will be. He would just be a bit confused, but as long as his Overlord can park over the natural, then he's gonna have vision of everything that SpeCial is doing. So I'm not entirely sure on the power of this.
Yeah, personally, I would drop a Roach Warren almost instantly, right? Like, just start mining gas, drop a Roach Warren, and look to siege the add-ons that are going to be inevitably coming. Like you know you have time as well, looking at the front. But Elazer, again, not the type of person to like, see something that he's never seen before or that he doesn't see often and to forge a response. So I feel like he's just going to play his game, right? Like, do what he do.
Yeah, I think so. Not no crazy adaptations on the fly or anything. Just, you know, I practice one thing, I'm gonna come here and do it. So
yep. And he didn't practice for this. I mean, the queens are off position here. Second Reaper catching him completely off guard. The links are nearly gone. I mean, one single Reaper, right? There's 4 links. It's not gonna do that much, but 2 Reapers, they output so much more damage, kill the links so much quicker that the queens have less time. A Hellion has already made its way through, but the drones are not bruised enough, so that it has to retreat to the natural where the queens just evacuated. Elazer being pulled apart right now as the Reapers are going to consolidate onto the Hellion's safe haven here, as 5 workers have already fallen here. An excellent start to a SpeCial that didn't lose a unit in the process.
What is happening, Cats? He's just making Hellions 1 by 1 and it's somehow working. I mean, link speed finishes now, and he was sending them across the map. He just totally forgot that Reapers are a thing and they can jump into his main again.
I mean, this is beautiful to watch because, I mean, if we talk about both players before the game, this is one of the strengths of SpeCial, right? Adaptation, different build orders, and just kind of like mixing things up to where he can feel a little bit more uncomfortable in the chaos. For a Terran player, a rare quality, I think, that he has more than most. I think by virtue of just having so much experience and having tried so many different things over time that he can just kind of switch builds on and off. Whereas Elazer on the complete opposite end, right? It's like you're not supposed to have that Reaper. You're not supposed to have that Hellion as fast as you did. Oh, so my normal timings are not working as intended. And oh, Juanito.
That was unfortunate, really. I mean,
losing
all of those units means no map control up until he regains those that Hellion count. But even still, he had an army that could actually fight straight up against queens, and now he doesn't anymore. So that's just completely unfortunate.
Completely unfortunate. Single queen here, so the auto turret is gonna do as much damage as it ever did. Manages to kill only 2 drones in the process, but yeah, I mean, forfeit is the map control that SpeCial had gained most of the advantages that he carved for himself. Like, the game is mostly reset. Elazer with very good creep spread, all things considered. He hasn't dropped the ball on that regard, and now is looking to drone up again. Let's see if SpeCial can catch him with his pants down while he's doing that.
Yeah, does continue to drop turrets on two sides at the same time. Just being really annoying with the dead space and the Raven. And even has some Hellions in the front, but this time he is going to switch things up a little bit. He is going to go into bio.
Okay.
I mean, Elazer did spot that second factory being, or the second barracks being built. So he should know it's bio this time at least. Otherwise it would have been a really good mind game.
Yeah, really good mind game indeed, but it will be bio announced. Now the Ravens are going to go back in potentially, but they're not really synced up, right? It's a turret here, then a turret there, and the Hellions not threatening at the same time either. So yeah, I struggle to see how SpeCial is going to find much again, like one at a time, but at least they're not paying attention to this one this time around. We'll lose one worker, but that's not, you know, that's pretty much the best that you could have hoped for if you're SpeCial, and that's saying a lot.
He just has one Raven sitting on each part of the main base. Going up to 3 Ravens to harass is really quite interesting. He can, of course, bring one of them back to help clear creep without having to spend scans, which would actually do wonders for his mineral economy. Throughout all of this, though, I think it is pretty important to know that SpeCial does still have the lead. I mean, Elazer still hasn't skyrocketed in his drone count, which is something you would like to do by the 7-minute mark, as you said. So, yeah, still a good position for Papi.
Most definitely. And we haven't seen Muta from Elazer in this series, which makes me think like he's not playing Muta right now. And if he's not playing Muta right now, I mean, that's not really an option, which I otherwise would think is a strong option with the 3 Ravens parked behind you, right?
Yeah, it definitely could be, but I guess he's also afraid that without any creep, his Lingbane army is just... It's gonna need to overwhelm with numbers, right? Creep is not working in his favor right now. He definitely needs the numbers.
Oh man, this is scary actually. The Hellions get into the pocket, which means the Lynx are gonna struggle to engage onto this Marine force, and instead Elazer just forced to evacuate his 4th, not really out on the map with the capability for any counterattack whatsoever. SpeCial does kind of expose himself on the retreat and doesn't manage to finish the base, somewhat surprisingly. I feel like he could have easily finished that if he's just stayed in the pocket. Instead, he goes into the main base, will tax Elazer as he reinforces without really consolidating his entire army. Now here is the brunt of his army, but SpeCial will just pick up and leave.
Yeah, it did feel like he left a bit too early, didn't he? He abandoned a bunch of his units. He even had a turret on the Raven that he could have added a bit to the mix, but overall still a very successful trade for SpeCial. Looking at the resources lost stab, almost doubling the units lost of SpeCial. So really well done so far by SpeCial, just piling on his lead, and now he's gearing up for this big tank push that's coming in. I have no idea how Elazer's gonna hold this.
It looks very unlikely. Yeah, I mean, there's not really a possibility for a flank. It's a very long way to try to get any sort of a wraparound, and it will be creepless as well if Elazer wants it. That means most likely we'll just have to come with one single prong, trying to catch SpeCial before he was sieged, but now he is, and in close vicinity enough that this 4th base should be gone. It should be forfeit even. I don't know that Elazer should even try to hold. I would just expand northward right now, but he's not doing that. I think he wants a hold. And if he wants a hold, it might be a game-deciding moment right here, as Elazer is going to go single flank here, as SpeCial is also reinforcing already the Marines outside of creep. No chance for Elazer. He will just have to forfeit the game.